With what's currently happening in the game industry, or should I say, for the past 10 years, if you have been paying attention, my dear friends, it's really hard to get excited about most new releases. The majority of them are going to be boring, the other half are going to be lame and woke, and the rest are going to be $70, $80 pieces of trash that are absolutely not even close to worth giving my hard-earned and your hard-earned money to, because they also probably are going to say that they also hate their consumers. So in this age, most of the time the stuff that I get excited when it comes to gaming is failures, because there's a lot of them and some of them are so hilariously bad and stupid, at least it's fun. But amongst all of this, there are sometimes jewels, there are sometimes things that legitimately seem good. And one of those things is Crimson Desert. Now, a lot of people are very skeptical about this, which is kind of understandable to a degree, but I personally think this has a lot of potential. I think that the gameplay that we're seeing is real. It's not cut up into small portions. I think the systems that we have seen are real. The graphics that we have seen are definitely real. And the things that we know about this game, in general, seem okay. It seems nice. So, Crimson Desert is one of the very few things I'm honestly excited about currently. It may not be the greatest thing in the universe, but it definitely seems like something that is worth giving a shot.
Since the reveal, and I got to try some pretty cool things that I've not shared with anyone yet. Like, I was pretty surprised to see that there's a way to fully zoom in and explore the world in first person. You cannot use your weapons then, but still, it's a pretty neat feature. I also love how you can pet your horse while riding it. It will just chill out for a moment. I really hope that's possible with the other mounts, like the raptor as well. Like, while playing this game, it becomes really clear that creativity will be rewarded. So Crimson Desert totally looks like your traditional
You see, that does look real.
open world experience. Very early on, we should be able to fully explore this enormous map. This is what the physical collector's edition map looks like, and during my play sessions I could also get a grasp of the scale, and the draw distance is really impressive.
Yeah, the draw distance is not actually that impressive. This is pretty much what any Unreal 5 engine game can actually do without really issues, which is kind of neat, I guess. And yes, this game is going to be a very free roam open very fast. There's going to be a small section that obviously gets you into the game, but after that, it's pretty much okay. Go wherever you please, or do whatever you want. Which is nice. I don't like when my hand is being held too much. Now I like hand holding because it's warm and whatnot. But I don't like it too much when it gets sweaty and you need to release and it's kind of a little bit awkward.
Since my play session, we've seen many of the side activities we can expect. There are countless mini games, resource gathering.
I'm sorry, did we just beat up a woman? Hell yeah!
Countless mini games.
Nah, that was a hobbit. Close enough.
Resource gathering, you can help the townfolk in need, like there are many side quests. You can also build up your home base. Again, it's familiar stuff, but Crimson Desert seems to have a lot of it. What does set the game apart though from what I played is the amount of tools it gives you to use in the sandbox, like the spider web. One thing I did during my play session is launch myself in the air with the spinning move, then use the crow wings to glide.
You can turn off the particle effects if you don't feel like it, yes, because the particle effects are 100% Unreal Engine 5 slop, by the way, boys. There's no sugarcoating that one, but you can turn them off.
And then shoot an enemy in the head with the bow. But you can also use it to pull yourself to a wall and start climbing, as we should be able to climb most surfaces as long as you have stamina. But you can also grab a wall and then launch yourself over it to surprise enemies with a body slam, or pull a tree back and do the same. You can use it to break your fall, grab an enemy off their mount to use it against them, probably one of the coolest uses. So while this web is required to take out the giant stoneback crab boss by launching yourself onto her back to deal damage, it also opens up a ton of other possibilities in combat and traversal. But it gets especially crazy when you combine the different moves. I could also toy around with the magical jump that you can activate multiple times depending on your spirit to do like a triple jump and get higher up, so it's great great for exploration, but also here it has many uses in combat as well, to ignore enemy attacks and then counter them with yours, which feels very satisfying. Or you can use it in an offensive way. Your abilities change depending on the current element you have equipped. So if you use fire in combination with the jump, you blast enemies away with an explosion. Switch to ice and then the jump freezes enemies that get hit. But I found thunder even better.
You ult the fire element and it apply fire damage to your skill? And then you ult ice and it does nothing? Guys! Big! Dude. I'm sorry, but bro, how? Wow. Okay, listen, wow.
As this shocks enemies, dealing damage while also stunning them. But the element you have equipped impacts way more of your abilities and also your arrows, with shock arrows being very strong as well. We know about 5 elements so far. We also see wind here, but we've not seen that in action yet. And in an earlier demo I played, I could use explosive arrows that were very strong. So it does seem that next to the elemental arrows, there are other types of arrows to equip and use, including an artillery shot that drops down a barrage of arrows on the target. And these tools,
oh my god, the Ant-Man now, very cool.
Are on top of the depth of the regular combat. There are obviously combos that you can chain. For example, a regular heavy attack combo with the two-handed axe would send an enemy flying after 3 hits. But if you start that combo with a light attack, you can actually get an extra hit in before you send the enemy away. And all these other weapons I could try.
Well, that is because, yeah, the people who made Crimson Desert are the one who made Black Desert. And if you have seen the combat there, yeah, the combat in this game is gonna probably feel pretty good.
I had fun combos as well. There are spears, hammers, two-handed swords, your regular shield and sword combo, and dual wielding swords is possible too, which looked very strong in the recent gameplay. You can switch between these weapons in your weapon wheel, but what I learned is that you can also do this unique move that lets you instantly swap to a new weapon mid-combo, which was very handy and also looked very cool. A big change they made from when I first played the game to my most recent session at Gamescom is that regular attacks do not consume stamina anymore, only special combat abilities do. So previously you had to constantly micromanage your stamina as you also use it to evade enemy attacks, but now you can simply focus on regular attacks while your stamina builds up again in the background, so you can use that for other moves. And yeah, you've likely seen Cliff do some wrestling moves like the neck breaker. Now these cost stamina too. I in particular had a lot of fun with the throw, which you can use to grab and throw enemies off high places. But yeah, one big takeaway after playing is totally that stamina is going to be important.
Yeah, all of this seems like real actual gameplay, real actual combat, real actual everything. Because you can also see that it's not perfect, it's scuffed. There are some pods that don't look that good, the lighting may be off, the graphics may be slightly dented and whatnot, like my head. But it does look real, and it does look fun.
So upgrading that with the Abyss artifacts that you get from...
Now, granted, I personally know absolutely nothing about the story. So far, we have seen gameplay, but we don't really know how the story is gonna happen per se, as much as I can tell. Or at least I have never heard anyone care about the story, which is understandable. Some people don't care about the story, and that's fine. But, I mean, the fact that I know nothing about the story and I have been following this, except a couple of things that you can play any character and whatnot, but that's not really the story part, is it? The fact that I know nothing about the story is a little bit sus. So, anyone who knows what the story is going to be about, or spoilers or whatnot, feel free to leave it in the comments section. I do read comments, so if anyone can give me a rundown of what's exactly happening, would be nice. Thank you.
Missions, from exploring the world, and from bosses will be very important. And overall, one of the most impressive things about Crimson Desert is that it all feels like the tip of the iceberg. We now also recently learned that by analyzing NPCs and enemies, you can learn their moves. So you also have to pay attention during combat to be able to steal those attacks. And then I'm still only talking about Cliff here. We learned that by following the main story, you will also get access to Damien, the fast rapier rapier-wielding lady who also has some sick acrobatic moves.
Hell yeah, fast running, whatever, rapier lady. Say less, Chief, I'm sold.
And use a pistol and rival. And also Unka.
Yeah, that's kind of gay, but whatever.
Will be unlocked as a playable character if you follow the main story. He's more of a brute with two-handed weapons and an arm cannon. I feel that only having
Yeah, we saw this down cannon is kind of ridiculous.
Cliff would have already been enough to keep the combat interesting, but the developers went above and beyond and added the 2 extra playable characters that we can use in the open world and for many of the side activities. So yes, Crimson Desert looks very promising. It has all the ingredients to become a super special game, but there were still a few things I witnessed during my play sessions that could hold it back from becoming truly exceptional. Now don't get angry, like I know there are some people that don't want to hear anything negative about this game, but I do think it's good to talk about these things so you can get a more realistic expectation when
I think that's not a real problem, okay? I think people who are currently sold on Crimson Desert, like me, I'm pretty much like 85% sure this is gonna be a good game. So I'm pretty sold. I think people I think there's not a lot of people who don't want to hear negative things because a lot of people are very suspicious about this one. Granted, again, I personally don't feel like that, but hey,
going into it, and it's totally possible that some of the things I mention here are already addressed in the final version of the game. The end of my Gamescom 2015 demo had a boss fight that was sadly not very fun, because the enemy was extremely aggressive and would send me flying around the battlefield. So how the Crimson Desert boss
yeah, that's probably called a skill issue.
fights often work is that the enemy is weak against some sort of move. So it can totally be that because I was thrown into this like mission that was halfway through the game that I did not know how to counter him. So in my experience, it was very hard to react. Now at one point I did figure out a sort of cheese tactic. The spin attack from the X would stun lock him in place so I could easily take care of him. There is a mechanic where when he's down you pick up one of these pillars and smack him to deal a ton of damage. That's a really cool mechanic, but apart from that, the boss fight was not that great. Some small annoyances were that looting enemies has Cliff kneel down and collect the items, which just takes a lot of unnecessary time and totally takes you out of the flow.
But it doesn't seem like they have a lot of mistakes like this. Because I have been saying this forever. Diablo 4 when it launched, every single game. Listen, if you have something that you're supposed to do in the game a lot, and you spent a lot of time making the animation very cool, very posh, very whatever the fuck, and it takes a lot of time, no, that's never gonna work. People are gonna hate it, okay? If you have a game that has a lot of things to loot, that looting better be fucking fast. Okay? It doesn't matter how good the animation is or whatever, as long as it's slow, people are gonna hate it. Because the more you do something, the less special it, the faster it needs to be. Okay, if your game has like craft this thing for 50 times in a row, then that animation better be instant. If not, it is what it is. People are gonna dislike it, and so many games seem to fall for this absurdly simple trap to not do for some reason. So yeah. I hope they improve looting speeds and whatnot, because if you're supposed to do that a lot, it better be fast.
Of the game. So I hope we have the option to just immediately loot bodies with a simple press of the button. Large scale fights where you are battling alongside an army can...
And by the way, in other games, I feel that it's unnecessary that they do that. Dark Souls, you know, or Elden Ring are probably great examples of this, where typically picking up an item is, well, kind of instant, but the items are kind of rare, so I feel that there should be some kind of Zelda chest open BS.
Also get confusing, especially when it's yellow soldiers fighting brown-red soldiers. Enemies had no health bar or red marker above them, so sometimes it was hard to know which enemy you had to attack and who was on your side. You might have also heard about the controls. Again, there are many possibilities in this game, but that did mean that the controller mapping would be very overwhelming. Now, this is something that should have already been addressed since that August play session I attended, with potential ways to remap controls as well. So we should hear more about that very soon, and we also learned that you will be able to turn off those particle effects, which especially during boss fights could be all over the place. Now, a fun fact about this boss
We
fight
already know that you can turn off particle effects. I don't know how long ago.
is that you can reach the arena by just going through the front door, or you can shoot the window and then climb up and drop down that way, and yeah, start to fight that way. Again,
Well-
I think this game will be very special because of the amount of freedom we have. And I have a feeling that the developers will be very reactive, so if we have a lot of like feedback after playing the game for ourselves, I would not be surprised if they address those things.
You know what I want to know? Considering this is by the people who made Black Desert Online. Slipped for a moment. It happens. I'm old. Don't call me young though. In any case, considering those people literally made pay-to-win game, the only thing that I am interested about, what's gonna be a turnoff potentially, is there's gonna be a pay-to-win thing in some way. It is single player, granted, which is a lot of people probably should have said that sooner, because a lot of people don't even expect that. I wonder if there's going to be some kind of pay-to-win microtransaction in any way. That's the only thing that I'm really actually worried about, that they find a way to implement something like that in the game, and that's going to be bad. Well, in any case, that was Joe Raptor 10 out of 10. Bye!